understood the last sessions of the unit challenges of the agricultural production. So today we are going to see the next topic, which is the green manure. Okay children, shall we go ahead? Okay children, so we'll see the topic which is called as green manure crops. So the green manure crops, those crops which are basically produced to get the manure out of those crops. For example, there are some crops which I have listed here, like Vermi, kulthi, senheb, lobia, green gram. All these are the crops which are usually raised to get the leaves, right? So when they get the sufficient leaves and all, these all plants are directly plowed back into the soil. So we are not going to do anything with these, right? We are not expecting any kind of crop from these, right? When they grow up to some particular level, what we do is we directly plow them back into the soil. If you get any kind of crop from that, you can use them. So if you get anything which is useful to you, like from green gram or from the other crops and all, you can use them. But whatever the leaves which are left, or stem leaves and whatever it is, they are again plowed back into the soil. So they are not simply plugged out and they are not simply burnt off, or simply they are not used for the hay for the animals and all. They are not used as a fodder for them. So they are directly plowed back into the soil. That means they are directly mixed in the soil. So what happens is, then when the soil is covered like that, when they are under the soil, they will start degrading. So when they start degrading, what happens is they form into manure. Within no time they will get mixed with the soil and they will form into the manure. So that particular manure is very useful for the growth of the plant. You can just see here 8 to 25 tons of hectare, 8 to 25 tons of plants, if you go ahead with this kind of plowing and all per hectare, you get 70 to 90 kg of nitrogen per hectare. 70 to 90 kg of hectare is not a very small thing, it's a very big thing, isn't it? So if farmers have to buy the 70 to 90 kg of nitrogen per hectare, they have to spend a lot of money. If they have some maybe 20, 30, 40, 50 acres of lands, hectares of lands, and also they have to buy plenty of oxygen, abundant oxygen, isn't it? Nitrogen, isn't it? So instead of that, what they can go ahead is, they can go ahead with the green manure crops, which which are mixed with the soil, which are plowed back into the soil, and they give out the required amount of nitrogen from them. And also whatever the nutrients which are present in the soil, also they'll get mixed with the soil. So now the soil becomes more and more fertile and also very easy or very useful for the growth of the plants. So that is how plants are easily raised in those kind of soils, right? So farmers who basically depend upon this will never get into loss, right? So this is a kind of profit for them, because if they have to spend the money for fertilizers, chemical fertilizers, artificial fertilizers and whatnot, they have to spend a lot of money on that. But now this is a very easy process, just growing the plants and then mixing with the soil. How easy it is, how easy the process is, isn't it? So it's a very easy process by which the farmer can get benefit very easily. So that is the reason why we always, the people, the agriculture officers, they always say to raise the green manure crops. And if there is no time, right, to do this and all, if farmers fail to do this also, they are also asked to go ahead with the leaf manure. That is, what are the leaves they get from the different plants and all, they get put in the soil, and that is how even what are the nutrients are there in the soil, they will also get into the soil. Even that is how the manure can be used by the plants which we raise in that particular soil. So that is how green manure crops will help the farmer to get a lot of profits right now. And also this is a very good way, of getting the good yield also, right? We're not using the chemical fertilizers here, we're not using the artificial man-made fertilizers here, but we are using the natural manure here, which is really very good for the growth of the plant. And that is how farmers are specially suggested to use the green manure crops rather than using the artificial fertilizers. Okay children, so the next topic which we go is the soil testing. So basically when you go ahead with the soil testing and all, no, like what is soil testing? So before raising any kind of crop, what you have to do is you have to check the soil whether that particular soil has the required nutrients for the growth of the plant or not. So if you are going to raise a particular crop, there are particular nutrients, like they are required for the growth of the plant. So if that particular nutrients are not there in the soil, then the growth of the plant will be affected, and the yield of the plant also will be affected, and you will not get the good yield. The farmer will not get the good yield. So that is the reason why what we need to do is we need to go ahead with the soil testing. You have to get the soil tested. And who will test the soil? Who will test this soil? That's a $1,000,000 question. So we'll try to answer that particular question in this particular topic. So children, there are some extremely experienced farmers, who are able to look at the soil, the color of and the texture of the soil, and they're able to tell you which crop can be grown better in this particular soil, or which particular crops can be raised in this particular soil. Is the soil really good for that particular crop or not? So they're very well versed with that, and they are able to see all these kind of things. But now it's not possible for every farmer and all. Like when the farmer is completely new to the agriculture, now it's very hard for him to know the kind of the soil, the color of the soil. He can't see the texture of the soil and tell what kind of crop can be grown in that particular soil. So there are agriculture offices available. There are soil testing technologies available now. So what they will do, what is their work? You might have heard about a thing position which is called as soil testing centers, Bhusara Pariksha Kendra. So these are located everywhere, in every village and all they are located. So what the farmers have to do is they have to take the soil to them, whatever the field they are going to raise the crops and all, what kind of crops they are going to raise. So if they give all the details, they will check the soil. They will specially check the fertility of the soil. They will check the nutrients levels in the soil. So they will tell you very easily, okay, these kind of nutrients are completely lacking in the crop. So if these nutrients are lacking in the crop, this particular crop cannot be grown in this soil. So you have to change the soil, or you have to add the nutrients to the soil. So they will also say which nutrient is less in the soil and which nutrient is more than enough in the soil. So which nutrient, there are potassium, there is phosphorus, there is nitrogen, and all the others are micronutrients also. So whichever is less and whichever is more, which is harmful in soil, which is useful soil. So everything they will tell you by looking at the soil. They will test the soil in the soil testing centers, which are basically in Telugu called as Bhusara Pariksha Kendra. So if the farmers are able to take it to them, they will tell you whatever the soil and the nature and kind of crops can be grown and what kind of nutrients should be added. What is the percentage of the nitrogen present in that? What is the percentage of the phosphorus present in that? What is the percentage of potassium present in that? And how much should be added and how much should be is not good for that particular crop. So everything they will tell you very easily. So that is how farmers can go ahead with these soil testing centers and know the nature and condition of the soil. So if possible, if there is any nutrients to be added, they will add the nutrients. Okay, so that is how this is also a very good technique to improve the agricultural production. So what we are basically looking into the things and all, we are seeing that what kind of challenges which the farmers are facing, increase in the food production. They have to increase the food, but available land is very less. So how they can make the improve the agricultural production in the available land. So that is how we have seen the green manure crops. We have seen the crop rotation methods. We have seen the mixed crops and all. And now we have seen the soil testing centers. And now we are going to see what is vermicompost. Vermicompost. Okay, children. So it's a very, very important topic which is basically asked in the examinations and all. And also it is also used for a science fair experiment. So that is what we are going to see now. Okay, children. Just have a look. Okay, children, now we are going to see the topic which is called as the vermicompost. Vermicompost, right? So this vermicompost is a manure which is made by man, right, without using any kind of chemicals, and also which is very very good for the health of the plant. So basically soil health is very very important. So in the previous session we have seen that green manure crops are really they are improving the soil health, and that is why farmers also they prefer to go ahead with the green manure crops and all. Now we are going to see a different topic which is called as the vermi compost. So in the vermi compost, right, to replenish the nutrients into the soil, so to add back the nutrients into the soil, and also to make the soil completely fertile and all, this process which is called as the vermi compost is definitely required. So now we'll see line by line, right. Now there are some farmers from the Bommaraju Cheruvu. So these farmers, what they have done is they started this process which is called as the vermi compost. So for that, what they have done is they have built now what is the purpose of doing this vermi compost? So these people or farmers, they faced a lot of problems when they were using the chemical fertilizers. So as these people were using the chemical fertilizers, they were facing many problems, and also they started searching for the different alternate practices. So now as they were searching for the different alternate practices, that means apart from using the chemical fertilizers, they want the alternate practice for that. So that is how they found out this method which is called as the vermi compost. So now they have used many other methods. They have used the chemical fertilizers, and also now they actually wanted to see whether this will work out or not. So now to make this work out, what they have done here is, right, so they formed a group to grow the vermi compost, okay, and also they have taken the help of the agricultural department. They have also taken the help of the agricultural department in making this vermi compost. So these farmers who belong to Bommaraju Cheruvu, they built the a small compost pits, which are 16 into 1 into half meters. Okay, 16 into 1 into half meters. So that is the length, the breadth, and the width of the vermi compost pit. So they have done that, and whatever they get, coconut, banana, sugarcane leaves, coconut coir, dry black green plants, and all, they made around 3 to 4 inch layer of that. Okay, and also whereas when we come to the inner layer, they have made it wet with the water first, and then they have added these all coconuts and also bananas and sugarcane leaves and coconut coir and dry black green gram plants, and also they added all those things. These are all the things which are not at all now useful to the people, right? These are all which are already used up. If you see the banana coir, coconut coir, and also if you see the coconut coir, that is not useful for anybody. So all those things and all, they have used, and they have made around the 3 to 4 inch layer with that. Okay, and whereas they coming to the inner layer, they made it completely wet with the water. So, and also what they have done, they have collected the household waste. That means whatever the houses are there in the village and all, they collected the wastage from the houses. And also not only that, but also they collected the dry cattle dung. So what is the dry cattle dung they get in the village and all, they collected it, but they only use the dry cattle dung. They did not use the wet cattle dung here. So they only use the dry cattle dung, and also they made sure that they avoided the plastics. So whatever the plastics are, there in the litter and whatever it is, so they made sure that they did not use all those things, and they did not mix them in the soil, because they are all non-biodegradable. Right? These are all the things which are the organic matter. They are all the degradable things. But whereas now coming to the litter, plastic covers, and whatnot, so they all are the non-biodegradable things. Okay, they cannot be used in the compost, right? Making the compost. So, that is how they avoided all those litter and plastic covers and whatnot. And after 2 weeks, what they have done is they have added around 1,000 earthworms per square meter. But square meter, they have added how many earthworms? Around 1,000 earthworms. Okay, and now you know what the earthworms do. So what they have done is they covered the complete pit with the gunny bags. The gunny bags where the rice is packed in. Those are called as the gunny bags. So they covered it, and because they have to make sure that there is no, like, there should be enough moisture, that is they are able to maintain some 30 to 40% of moisture. So they now those are those pits are covered by the gunny bags and all, like, and they have kept this compost pit around for 60 days. So after 60 days, they were able to collect the first compost manure, and the second one, which when you got it, it's only 40 to 45 days. The second one they got only in 40 to 45. Is in every year they were able to collect the compost manure around 6 times in a year. They used to collect the compost manure around how many times? 6 times in a year. So this is how the people, the farmers who belong to Bomara Cheruvu, they are able to make the vermi compost. Now, when they use the vermi compost, they are able to notice some differences. So, what are the differences they have noted? The first difference is that after this, using the organic manure, their investment, they did not invest much on the artificial manure or the chemical manure, so they not invest more on them. So the investment which they have done on the chemical fertilizers and all of that completely decreased to a particular level. And also they also noticed that they did not use any extra pesticides. So even using of the extra pesticides, using of the extra chemical fertilizers and all, everything, they all got reduced, and that is the reason why they also got a good profit from that. Okay, and also whatever the yield they have got from this, that was of very, very good quality. The quality was absolutely excellent and all, the yield was very good. Okay, what is the reason behind that? Using the organic manure, and here our vermi compost is organic manure. This is how the farmers of the Bomara Cheruvu, they are able to make the organic manure, and they used it for their own crops, and that is how they got a very good results. They got the profit, they got a very good yield also, and there was a very, very less usage of the pesticides or the chemical fertilizers. So that is how they were absolutely useful for the crops and all. So that is how we come to the end of the vermi compost. In the same way, we also come to the end of this today's session, and we'll meet tomorrow. Until then, see you all. Have a great day.